Good evening, my non-existent viewers. I saw The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim today, and Arthur the Little Bear, I got this guy while I was in Paris back in March. He is joining us for this review. I usually film my movie reviews on my internal camera built to my laptop, but it's being really glitchy, so I might have to get it fixed sometime soon. Anyways, yeah, so Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim. I was pretty psyched going into it because I think anyone who's been watching my channel long enough probably knows this. The original 3 Lord of the Rings films, directed by Peter Jackson, are like my favorite movies of all time. And, you know, I've just been a tremendous, like, Middle-earth fan ever since middle school. So I heard there was going to be a new movie release, especially an animated one. The first animated Lord of the Rings film that we've got since, like, the 70s. I got pretty excited, especially with its whole anime aesthetic. Like, an anime set in Middle-earth, like, how cool is that? In this film, it takes place 183 years before the events of Fellowship of the Ring, and or The Hobbit, or something like that, yeah. And, as far as I know, I don't think it's based on any, like, you know, like, obviously, I don't think it's drawn from the Silmarillion, if I'm not mispronouncing it, my apologies. But yeah, it follows Hera, who's this girl from Rohan, and she's gonna be she's the princess, and like these two kingdoms are at war, and it's like it follows like this revenge story and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, going out of it, like this film's getting pretty mixed reviews. Like the critics, I think on Rotten Tomatoes is a 52% like critic score, but like in the 80s with the audience score. I kind of hate to say this, viewers, but like this is a problem I've been having with quite a few animated films that have come out in the past few years. Like, I think about Pixar movies like Turning Red and Lightyear, for example, right? Or Disney films like Moana 2 recently, or Wish. That's right. Like, and like, yeah, all those films I just mentioned they're good as films, just mediocre as Pixar and Disney films, respectively, just compared like the plethora of just classics from those two studios. That's kind of how I feel about War of the Rohirrim. Like, it's good as a film. Like, I did like the movie, I enjoyed it, but it just came off as like rather mediocre compared to the Hobbit films and the Lord of the Rings films, which I know like the Hobbit films have received quite a bit of backlash over the years, which again, the Hobbit trilogy is definitely flawed, but I still really like it for what it is. And yeah, like, the animation in this movie, it's not bad, it's just very choppy at a few scenes. Like I said, I love the whole idea of, like, an anime set in Middle-earth, but I noticed, like, the characters, like, their dialogue wasn't always, like, lined up with, like, their lips, when their lips would be moving, and the frame rate gets pretty choppy in a couple of scenes. I mean, the film still has a great spectacle to it. Like, it feels like you're there in Middle-earth, like, the Oliphants, the cave trolls, the orcs, and, like, the battle scenes, everything. Yeah, the action scenes were very well done. But I feel like, there's just something, like, missing. This film is 2 hours and 15 minutes long, and yet the pacing was still kind of uneven. It did drag in a couple of scenes, and I feel like there were just some characters were kind of just like shoved in there for fan service without going to spoilers. And all in all, I mean, there's really, like, I feel like there's more I feel like I should say about like War of Rohirrim, considering that it is like a Middle-earth film, which is like my favorite franchise like of all time, right? But there's not too much to say, so like I feel like if you decide like to see the War of Rohirrim, like, don't, obviously it's not going to be like Return of the King caliber by any means, but I still really like I mean, just any chance I get to revisit Middle-earth, I kind of just seize it. I still haven't watched Rings of Power on Amazon Prime, but I'm kind of afraid to do so because of all the not so great things I've heard about it. And like, I hope, I mean, and I honestly, the Lord of the Rings trilogy does not need a remake. Just putting it out there. But anyways, War of Rohirrim, I'm giving it like a 6 out of 9 stars. I mean, again, despite its issues, it is a likable film. Really exciting news. I know I usually see movies on Tuesdays, for discounted Tuesdays, but I finally have a second job lined up for me pretty soon that I'm going to juggle with the zoo, and my first day there might be on either Tuesday or Thursday, so I decided to see it today, like, for the matinee price, just to be safe. And yeah, like, I'm going to be visiting family for Christmas, and I'm still really excited for Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Nosferatu, reviewing those movies, and other movies are coming out pretty soon. And of course, stay tuned for my annual New Year's Eve Q&A, my New Year's Day schizo rambling. Jeez, this year is almost over. I'm not ready for it. Have a good night. Stay beastly.